And we're live! Hi, my name is Sophia Botha and welcome to Botha Rants, the YouTube stream where we go through all the latest LGBTQ news and political news of interest, or at least interest to me. And today is Ozma Monday. Yes, the regular edition of Botha. I forgot the fucking name of my own fucking...
it's fine. It's fine. You know, the important thing is I'm here to support you if I'm not distracted by crush type feelings for someone who I like. But that's beside the point. It is really beside the point. I assumed you were going to jump right back in here.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. Okay. So yes, it's the Ozma Monday edition of Botha Rants, and of course today is Easter. Is Easter Monday in Britain. It's a public holiday here. I don't think it's a public holiday in the United States. It's not, is it?
No, I don't believe so.
No.
I've never heard of it.
Or as I like to call it, Jesus is a zombie Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Talking of which, we'll get on with the show. And yes, the first story is to do with Jacob Rees-Toff, as I like to call him. Yes, the rather posh member of the cabinet who tweeted this: "Christ has arisen. Hallelujah! Is arisen indeed. Hallelujah." Okay.
Well, I mean, it's a bit late.
Well, he tweeted this yesterday.
Yeah, I know. This is like, this is old news. This is supposed to, like, he's saying it like it's new news. This was like over 1,000 years ago news. Like, get with the times, Jacob Rees-Toff.
By the way, she's drunk a lot of caffeine before the show, so she's a bit.
I've drunk a lot of caffeine, and I had a good sleep, and I'm in an especially happy mood. So,
yeah,
it's a dangerous combo.
Yeah. Anyways, just to break this down, right? So, Jacob Rees-Toff, a member of the cabinet, believes that a man rose from the dead. So, in other words, a cabinet member believes in zombies. He believes zombies are real. Yes. Yeah. Suck it up, Christians. You believe that Jesus rose from the dead. Well, that means he's a zombie. Okay. Oh no, he's not. No, he's a zombie. Zombies are beings who rise from the dead. You claim
he was a zombie. I think he's a white now, or like WIGHT white. I have to recall because he's sort of like
bollocks. Don't spoil the joke.
Okay.
This is what Christians do to me. They try and spoil the joke. He's a zombie, okay? And the fact that Jacob Rees, I find it quite creepy that Jacob Rees-Mogg believes zombies are real.
Yeah, and he also believes that they rise every Easter.
Yeah. He's as well as fiscally conservative. He's also one of the ones who is also socially conservative. So he doesn't support same-sex marriage, doesn't support abortion because he's a nutty Catholic. And he's an absolute arsehole. I think he said something about food banks. He said that they should give you inspiration. Oh, right. Have you ever visited a food bank, Jacob? These are people who, if they don't get food from a food bank, will fuck on starve. Yeah, that's really inspiring, mate. I mean, okay, it's inspiring that, there are people who have the humanity, unlike you, to, actually help the poor, while you just piss and shit on them, like the rest of the fucking Tory party.
I mean, he likes the aesthetics of Christianity, especially the part that, the Spanish Inquisition type thing. And, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition, by the way, to pop into a conversation. But he doesn't seem to care about the actual elements of the story, because Jesus is very much against capitalism.
Yeah, Jesus is a socialist. Yeah, as well as a zombie, he was a socialist. Okay, all right, so, yes, do you know what happened a year ago yesterday?
I believe that was when Keir Starmer was accepted. Yeah.
Accepted? He was
accepted into Labour, forced his way into Labour, whatever.
He was elected Labour leader. I'm surprised you knew that, actually.
Admittedly, I feel like
she's actually done some homework before the show.
Oh no, I haven't. I legit haven't. I just happened to the time sounded about right, and I think I maybe saw KE or something, and I'm just like, it's probably fucking Keir Starmer bullshit. And I'm like, yeah, it's about the right time. That was when he was put in place.
Yeah, so
I do remember that was last year.
And here's his acceptance speech, which he seemed to film in his wife's closet, but or was it the bathroom? It's got those little torch shutters.
That looks like a closet.
Yeah, it's the closet. Anyways, so this was his victory speech. Let's go through it and see if he's lived up to it, shall we?
And the privilege of my life to be elected as leader of the Labour Party. It comes at a moment like none other in our lifetime. Coronavirus has brought normal life to a halt. Our cities, our towns and our villages are silent. Our roads deserted. Public life has all but come to a standstill. And we're missing each other. People are frightened by the strangeness, anxious about what will happen next. And we have to remember that every number is a family shaken to its foundation, unable even to carry out the most poignant of ceremonies, a funeral, in the way that they would like. It reminds us of how precious life is, but also how fragile. It reminds...
Yeah, okay, right, fine words and everything, but
yeah.
Here's the thing here, right? Why haven't you opposed the Tories' absolute fuck up in response to COVID-19? You've done you have refused to oppose the government in basically not doing what they should be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, basically Keir Starmer is like the a bit like the minister in Yes Prime Minister.
Yeah.
A bit like that guy.
Yeah.
Reminds us of what really matters. Our family, our friends, our relationships, the love we have for one another, our health, our connections with those that we don't know, a greeting from a stranger, a kind word from a neighbour. These make up society. They remind us that we share our lives together. We have to trust one another and look after one another. And I could see this happening. People coming together.
It's true that I do think in some respects the COVID-19 pandemic has... I mean, I've had a lot of help from friends who live locally to me. I'm sure there are in some places that people are fucking each other over, as you know, as often unfortunately happens in poorer neighbourhoods because people are desperate, essentially. But yeah, I get what he's saying. He's right on that score, I think.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where he says nice things, but honestly, there are aspects of trust, not to say that you should be untrustworthy of people by default, but there are aspects of finding someone truly trustworthy that are earned.
Now, here's where it goes a bit awry.
Help the isolated and the vulnerable, checking on their neighbours. So many volunteering for the NHS. Millions of people doing their bit to stop this virus and to save lives.
Yeah, okay, I said it's going a bit awry. What I mean by this is that has Starmer spoken up for disabled people?
No.
No, I don't recall him doing so.
And also,
but he hasn't. But he hasn't
for the NHS.
But the other
be paid.
Yeah, the other thing is right. When the government announced that NHS staff were going to get a 1% pay rise, he sort of said that it should be more, but he was like really minny-mouthed about it. You know, it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't a strong enough sort of like endorsement that they should get paid more. Yeah.
Yeah, sort of like, I'm not happy with how much they're getting paid. They should have been getting some more and not This should be fucking 5%, not 1%.
Well, the Scottish government, have raised given the NHS staff a 4% pay rise.
Yeah,
that's above inflation. So
yeah,
that's a step in the right direction. Starmer, it's like he's scared of his own fucking shadow sometimes in doing what he should be able to do. We'll get on to stuff in a minute, but let's just get through this.
Our willingness to come together like this as a nation has been lying dormant for too long, when millions of us stepped out onto our doorsteps to applaud the carers, visibly moved. There was hope.
Yeah, clapping for carers is all very well and good, but it doesn't put a roof over their head and food on the table.
Yeah.
A pay rise would do that, Keir.
Of a better future. In time.
Also, carers are on some of the lowest paid, lowest wage people in this country, which is a disgrace in itself.
Yeah.
And Starmer got in a tangle about not opposing the government's new restructuring of the thresholds for the lowest paid on income tax. The way the Tories have fiddled it is that basically it looks like they're freezing the threshold, but in fact when you introduce inflation into the mix, actually it's a tax rise. Right, for the lowest pay. I certainly think that the top earners should be paying more tax, but not the lowest earners. Okay.
Yeah.
Times like this, we need good government, a government that saves lives.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Keir, to do that, mate, you need to offer some opposition. Basically, remind the government what they should be doing when they're not, and you have failed.
There's also even more that you can
do. The first duty of government should be to protect the protection of the sanctity of life, right? However, this Tory government has failed miserably in doing so and lined their pockets in doing so. Yet you've said fuck all about that.
Yeah, but not just that. Not just in terms of publicity. Keir Starmer going out to food banks and helping people would still, even that would make more of a difference than what he's been doing.
We've got a story about that in a minute.
Protects our country. It's a huge responsibility. And whether we voted for this government or not, we all rely on it to get this right. That's why in the national interest, the Labour Party will play its full part. Under my leadership, we will engage constructively with the government. Not opposition for opposition's sake, not scoring party political points or making impossible demands, but with the courage to support where that's the right thing to do.
No, you've basically been sucking Boris Johnson's cock. Yeah? And you've been allowing him to fuck you up the arse. Right? It's about time, right, mate, that you were elected the leader of the opposition, yet you've offered no opposition.
Well, there's that one time that he said that they were doing a bad thing once.
No,
I can't remember what he said.
Oh no, it was on it was about conversion therapy. He said that Labour supports banning conversion therapy. Yeah, well, so did the fucking Tories, right? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, it is the Tory party policy. It's just that the Tories have been dragging their feet in doing so. Yeah. So, whoopee. Yeah? I mean, he took his fucking pretty time to actually bring that up. Because it's been going on for fucking months. Well, it's been going on for years, actually. But, it's becoming a ever bigger issue. And he took his pretty fucking time to speak up about it.
But we will test the arguments that are put forward. We will shine a torch on critical issues. And where we see mistakes or faltering government or things not happening as quickly as they should, we'll challenge that and call that out.
You will? Sorry? Wait. You will? You will? Well, it's been a year, mate. I'm still waiting. So, you know. Wait, when are you going to do this, huh? What? You're going to do this, you know, the day before the 2024 general election, huh? Is that when you're going to suddenly do it?
Oh no. That's when he'll say that after next election, he'll do this.
Our purpose when we do that is the same as the government's: to save lives and to protect our country.
Yeah, but the government have not been saving lives, have they?
No. Nope.
Yeah. That's the point. We've got one of the worst COVID death rates in the fucking world.
Yeah, and in terms of percentage, it's...
Yeah.
I think UK is still number one in terms of percentage. America is still number one in terms of total death.
Yeah.
Shared purpose. But that is not the only task for the Labour Party. The weeks ahead are going to be really difficult. I fear there are going to be some awful moments for many of us. But we will get through it. The curve will flatten. The wards will empty. The immediate threat will subside. And we have scientists working on vaccines. But when we do get through this, we cannot go back to business as usual. This virus has exposed the fragility in our society. It's lifted a curtain. Too many will have given too much. Some of us will have lost too much. We know in our hearts things are going to have to change. We can see so clearly now who the key workers really are. When we get through this, it'll be because of our NHS staff, our care workers, our ambulance drivers, our emergency services, our cleaners, our porters. It will be because of the hard work and bravery of every key worker.
Yeah, but Starmer, mate, you ain't been like exactly giving them a ringing endorsement for a pay rise. I'm just going to say that again. It's all fine words, mate, but you haven't lived up to it, have you? Nah.
Yeah, no.
As they took on this virus and kept our country going for too long. They've been taken for granted and poorly paid. They were last, and now they should be first. In their courage and their sacrifice and their bravery, we can see a better future. This crisis has brought out the resilience and human spirit in all of us. We must go forward with a vision of a better society, built on that resilience and built on that human spirit. That will require bravery and change in our party as well. I want to thank Rebecca and Lisa for running such passionate and powerful campaigns and for their friendship and support along the way. I want to thank our Labour Party staff who worked really hard, and my own amazing campaign team full of positivity.
Made up of bitter Blairites like Jenny Chapman. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that he's now hired Peter Mandelson. I mean, Peter Mandelson, the guy, you know, one of the architects of New Labour, he's yesterday's man, you know? A guy who does not like anything socialist, despite the fact that the Labour Party are a democratic socialist party.
Yeah, no, that's bit of a problem. Bit of a big problem.
Yeah. You know, I know they're going to go on about, oh yeah, we won the 97, 2001 and 2005 general elections. Yes. And you lost the 2010 general election, and you lost the 2015 general election. And if you carry on the way you're going, you'll absolutely fucking destroy the fucking Labour Party electorally.
Yeah.
That unifying spirit. I want to pay tribute to Jeremy Corbyn, who led our party through some really difficult time.
Yeah, 6 months after this, of course, he basically tried to have him expelled from the party. In fact, Jeremy Corbyn still technically sits as an independent MP because he hasn't had the whip restored to the Labour whip restored to him in the Houses of Parliament. He has been reinstated in the Labour Party, but there's parliamentary technicality. More about Jezza later, because he's been saying some good things.
Who energised,
unlike here,
our movement, and who's a friend as well as a colleague.
Yeah, apart from the fact that you seem to think Jez is the kind of friend you can stab in the back constantly.
Yeah. And to all of our members, supporters and affiliates, I say this. Whether you voted for me or not, I will represent you. I will listen to you. And I will bring our party together. But we have to face the future with honesty.
Right. Let me tell you, that is probably the biggest lie here, because there was a civil war, there's been a civil war raging in the Labour Party ever since Jeremy Corbyn was elected leader. Okay?
Yeah.
And it was brought on by the right of the party, who could never accept Jeremy Corbyn as Labour leader, even though, he was elected Labour leader twice with huge mandates, okay, from the membership.
Yeah.
Right? The thing is, Starmer has done nothing to bring the party together. Quite the opposite. He has been purging the party of socialists.
And also, it's important to face the future with honesty, which is why he's been lying his ass off most of this video, if not all of it.
Anti-Semitism has been a stain on our party. I have seen the grief that it's brought to so many Jewish communities. On behalf of the Labour Party, I am sorry. And I will tear out this poison by its roots.
No, what you have done, mate, is actually the most number of people who have been expelled from the fucking Labour Party have been Jews. But you see, according to the Jewish Labour movement, who are the pro-Zionist group in Labour, right, they're the wrong kind of Jews, right?
They're not the real Jews.
Yeah.
Not like us, who support the conservative people, and those people are clearly the real Jews, and nothing like this of Jewish people who suck up to the government has ever happened before in history. Oh wait.
Now,
one of the major airplane generals in the whatever was a fucking capo.
Here's the deal, right? The whole anti-Semitism thing with Jeremy Corbyn was basically anti-Semitism being weaponized against him. Okay?
Yeah.
Jeremy Corbyn has not said one thing which I can describe as anti-Semitic. Okay? And the thing is, by them weaponizing anti-Semitism, they've actually undermined genuine anti-Semitism, because there is genuine anti-Semitism, and I'm not denying that there aren't anti-Semitic bigots in the Labour Party, but there are anti-Semitic bigots in the Tories. There are anti-Semitic bigots in all fucking parties. Anti-Semitism does plague our society, unfortunately. Yeah? But, to basically use that to undermine Jeremy Corbyn has actually made the issue of dealing with the issue of anti-Semitism harder, because what people are just going to say. Oh yeah, like Jeremy Corbyn was an anti-Semite. Yeah, when he wasn't. And that's the problem, right? You've actually devalued it.
Yeah.
Right. And as I said, basically, when Keir Starmer says that he's going to root out anti-Semitism, what he really means, he's going to root out fucking socialists. We've seen this before with the Labour Party. Back in the 80s, when Neil Kinnock was leader, and he never became Prime Minister, funny enough, he it was like a personal crusade with him to expel what was called militant tendency. Now, militant tendency were, shall we say, a bit more troublemakers than Jeremy Corbyn supporters. But it's basically the same thing. As soon as you see the thing is that when the left gains control of the Labour Party, right, as they did with Jeremy Corbyn, suddenly the right go, oh, we're being victimised, we're being persecuted, we're being forced out of the party, right? But when the right take over the fucking party, what do? Fucking expel the left.
Well, yeah,
they like to play
it's projection.
And judge success by the return of our Jewish members and those who felt that they could no longer support us. The Labour Party is an incredible and powerful force for good. Together with those that went before us, we've changed the lives of millions of people for the better. We created the NHS. We created the welfare state. We passed equalities legislation. The race...
Yeah, but the thing is, mate, you don't give a shit about fucking equalities legislation, do you? Don't we know it? Anyways, enough of that. You get the general drift. He has not lived up to anything he has fucking said, right?
Yeah, and he wants to take credit for all the good things that the Labour did before him.
Now, I got this article.
Oh, God.
Makes him look like a don, doesn't it?
It makes him look like a James Bond villain from the 70s.
Yeah, I think someone else said that about that photo.
It does. Like, it's just, it's so, like, rich, classy, and doesn't give a fuck about, yeah.
Well, anyways, I got this article from the Socialist Worker. 1 year on, the point of Keir Starmer is clear. It's got some good points to make about what's been happening. So, hold on, let me get the reader on if I can.
If not, you can always rely on me.
Yeah, I know I can, but right. Well, let's give it a try, shall we? If I can see the cursor, there it is. Right.
1 year ago, Sir Keir Starmer took over from Jeremy Corbyn as Labour leader after winning a decisive victory in the leadership election. While the left's candidate Rebecca Long-Bailey lost, the majority of the left decided to stay and fight, and to hold Starmer to account on his soft left policy pledges. 1 year on, and Starmer has shifted the party to the right. He has cozied up to big business, the police and security apparatus, dumped radical action on climate change, and thrown working-class people under the bus during the pandemic. Meanwhile, Corbyn isn't even a Labour MP anymore. And the response from the Labour left's leaders? A lot of staying, but not much fighting. What explains this sorry state of affairs? The whole turnaround from Corbyn to Starmer raises important questions about the Labour Party.
Yeah, you see, what basically, Starmer did win by quite a big, with a quite big mandate, and he said that his sort of platform was that he was going to keep sort of the radical policies which came during the Corbyn era, but he was going to give the sort of part. He was going to pull the party together. He was supposedly the unity candidate, but as I've said, he's done nothing but try and divide the party even more. To the point where I could see there being a split now. He's the other thing was to give the party electoral credibility. Well, as I said, he has failed on all counts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, on with this article.
The whole turnaround from Corbyn to Starmer raises important questions about the Labour Party. What is the point? Some point to Starmer's failure to live up to his own promise of electability. Writing in The Guardian, Moore Lothian McLean asks, what is the point of Starmer? After a year we still don't know. She highlights the declining number of Labour voters who felt that he was doing well, a drop of 14 points since last December. Despite the criminal incompetence and corrupt cronyism of the Tory government's handling of the pandemic, Starmer's Labour has been unable to lay a glove on them. The latest YouGov poll shows the Tories 10 points ahead of Labour and Johnson ahead of Starmer in the PM stakes by 6 points. Not a happy first anniversary. On effective opposition to the Tories, he has on numerous occasions been at pains to support them during the pandemic and has failed to call out their corruption in the handing out of NHS contracts. Even arch-Blairite Alistair Campbell accused him of being weak. Given that Starmer promised to make Labour re-electable through competent leadership and an end to factionalism, these figures have caused many of his staunchest supporters to get the jitters.
Yeah, there are a lot more. There are meant to be people within his shadow cabinet who are muttering under their breath and talking to journalists off the record.
Wait, but also, did I hear that right? A Blairite called him weak? That is like...
Yeah, he is. He's...
Yeah, no, that's like... that is a greater insult.
We always thought Ed Miliband was like the weakest of weak Labour leaders. I mean, the 2015 general election, basically Labour offered, get this, austerity light. That was basically what they were offering, right? And someone has described Keir Starmer as Miliband, continuity Miliband. It's worse though. It's worse than Miliband. It really is.
Yeah.
Given that Starmer promised to make Labour re-electable through competent leadership and an end to factionalism, these figures have caused many of his staunchest supporters to get the jitters. Paul Mason in The New Statesman writes that although he voted for Starmer and would do so again, it is unclear that people know what he stands for.
Paul Mason, now there's someone who really disappoints me. Paul Mason is on the, he comes from the radical left, and he was a Corbyn supporter, and it just seems that I wonder if, but yet then he supported Starmer, and I'm just wondering if Paul Mason's just he's looking for a job. He's he's an economist. He was an economics journalist. He was the economics correspondent for or the editor for, I can't remember what his official title was, for Newsnight, and then Channel 4 News, and it just seems to me that he's just looking up to suck up to whoever's Labour leader, hoping that he'll get an advisory role. That's basically what Paul Mason's hedging for.
Paul Mason in The New Statesman writes that although he voted for Starmer and would do so again, it is unclear that people know what he stands for. Martin Kettle, a Starmer apologist, in The Guardian writes of the ghostly strangeness of Starmer's first year, and that largely because of the pandemic he remains an unusually unknown and untested...
Look, you can't keep blaming the fucking pandemic. Look, the problem is that Starmer hasn't opposed the government when it has come to them. I keep repeating this, when they fuck up on their response to the fucking pandemic, right? Again and again and again, he is. There's been open goals and he has missed.
I mean, right? he talks about like how great it was that Labour created the NHS and then does nothing to help NHS at all.
Yeah.
Really.
Martin Kettle, a Starmer apologist, in The Guardian writes of the ghostly strangeness of Starmer's first year, and that largely because of the pandemic he remains an unusually unknown and untested Labour leader. A balance sheet back to Blairism. But to claim Starmer is either an untested or an unknown factor is to be too generous to him, and it is simply not true. His actions as Labour leader reveal what he stands for in three important respects: his commitment to loyal opposition, with more emphasis on the former than the latter, to the Tory government; the abandonment of the bulk of the policy programme that led him to get elected; a concerted attempt to witch-hunt the left and erase the Corbyn legacy.
Can I just point out that that's, he lied to get elected Labour leader by saying that he was going to, there was going to be a continuity of policy from the Corbyn leadership, right? And yet, has certainly moved. I mean, let me give you a few examples here. He opposed there being a rent and mortgage holiday for people during the pandemic. Joe Biden supported a mortgage and rent holiday.
Yeah.
Right?
That's not good if Labour is doing worse than the Democratic Party when it comes to economic policy.
Right? Keir Starmer, right, opposed the rise in corporation tax despite it being Labour Party policy.
Yeah.
A concerted attempt to witch-hunt the left and erase the Corbyn legacy. In the leadership election, Starmer committed himself to 10 policy pledges based on the 2019 manifesto. He won the leadership election comfortably, and it is...
Oh, talking about the 2019 Labour Party, the Labour Party general election manifesto from 2019. Everyone keeps saying, and the whole 2019 general election campaign. Everyone says the reason why Labour lost so badly was due to Jeremy Corbyn. No, it was due to basically Labour's nonsensical Brexit policy. Look, Boris and the Tories were going about with the simple slogan, get Brexit done, get Brexit done, get Brexit done, right? Whereas Labour's policy on Brexit was, we'll have another referendum. We'll negotiate the Brexit deal with the EU. Then we'll have another referendum and tell people to vote against that deal. What? Sorry, that doesn't make fucking sense. And it was down to fucking Keir Starmer and Emily Thornberry, pushing for this in the shadow cabinet. I mean, Starmer, of course, was shadow Brexit secretary. And here's the thing. I actually will say that Jeremy Corbyn got this wrong, right? He was ultimately responsible for this, right? But what he should have done is put his fucking foot down and said, look, the majority of people in the Brexit referendum voted for Brexit, okay? So maybe the best option is to go for a soft Brexit. And that was actually what Labour were going, had said at the 2017 general election when Labour managed to, managed to have the Tories lose their majority. Okay? Yeah, I know Labour didn't win the 2017 general election, but here's the thing. Labour did an awfully lot better than was expected, right? In fact, the 2019 result was the result everyone thought Labour would get in 2017, right? But it wasn't, right? Labour did better than expected. And why was that? Because Labour had said, right, we would honour the result of the Brexit referendum. Look, I will say this. I think Brexit is a really stupid fucking idea.
Yeah.
I think we're poor for it. And it's just going to cultivate, an even, increasing atmosphere of nationalism, which I just think stinks. But, right, people did vote for Brexit. That's what they want, okay? So we have to honour that. And I think that, basically, in 2017, Jeremy Corbyn said, we'll honour the Brexit, result. And, and here's some other policies we have. And, whereas the last general election, they just got themselves in such a fucking tangle about fucking Brexit, And I will say that was a failure of Jeremy Corbyn. I'm going to admit it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it was Keir Starmer who was pushing for this.
He won the leadership election comfortably, and it is estimated that the scale of this victory was in part explained by the fact that at least 50% of Corbyn supporters voted for him. Many cited the 10 pledges as the basis for their support. In addition to the pledges on policy, he promised to make Labour electable, to end factionalism and promote pluralism in the party. On electability, the polls speak for themselves. The logic of Liberal commentators who told us anyone but Jeremy Corbyn would be enjoying a super lead over the Tories has been proven to be false. It is remarkable that with the favourable media coverage, some polls have Starmer doing worse than Corbyn was in the run-up to the 2019 election.
Yeah. What was that? But Jeremy Corbyn had no electability. Well, Starmer, Jeremy Corbyn had no electability. Starmer has, negative, electability.
Yeah, sort of like the Bernie Sanders Clinton thing.
Yeah. That's a subject for another day.
Yeah, it is.
It is remarkable that with the favourable media coverage, some polls have Starmer doing worse than Corbyn was in the run-up to the 2019 election. This despite all the attacks that were directed at Corbyn over Brexit, anti-Semitism and more. On ending factionalism and promoting pluralism, Starmer has unleashed a wave of suspensions and exclusions on the left, and undermined any kind of democratic accountability. The standout facts of this assault could not make his trajectory clearer. David Evans is now General Secretary of the Labour Party.
Yeah, he is. And he's...
David Evans is now General Secretary.
Sorry, he wrote... He wants to end party internal Labour Party democracy. He also wanted Labour to adopt more social conservative policies.
Oh, of course.
And it's like, right, now we know what's going on. Is it Keir in charge or is it David? One has to ask themselves.
Well, here's how they truly promote the left. They go right far enough that the Tories look left.
I wish that wasn't, that's not a joke with the way things are going.
David Evans is now General Secretary of the Labour Party. Evans, who Starmer appointed, is a party apparatchik from the Blair years, who sent written instructions to party branches banning any discussion of Corbyn's suspension as being not competent business. When many branches defied his ruling, a whole swathe of suspension.
Why does it do that?
A whole way.
No, it's alright.
Oh, okay.
I'll just redo it. I don't know if we'll get to the bottom here, but
yeah. No.
Oh no, it's down.
It was a joke, but no more than the Labour Party has provided.
So a whole swathe of suspensions ensued. The publication of the Ford report, which revealed dirty tricks by Labour staffers to undermine Corbyn in 2017 election, has been delayed. Well, there have been leaks, and we know that the Blairites were running a parallel campaign, sending funds and resources to those MPs who were of their ideological sect, rather than sending money and resources to those marginals which Labour could have won. In other words, if it wasn't for that fucking campaign, that parallel campaign, Labour could have won the 2017 general election, or at least could have formed the next government if there was a hung parliament.
Yeah.
And the thing is, nobody has been expelled for that. Nobody has been expelled for the party. But you defend fucking Jeremy Corbyn, you're out. The nominating process for the Liverpool mayor was cancelled to prevent the possible election of Anne Rothery, a left-winger who had argued for Corbyn's reinstatement. And the three shortlist candidates were replaced with two who were more acceptable to the leadership. This was followed.
Anti-democratic.
Yeah, this was followed more recently with his support for the Tories sending in commissioners to run parts of Liverpool Council. The symbolism of siding with the Tories against Liverpool, a Labour city if there ever was one, was not lost on many. The feeling was that Starmer was telling left-wing working-class Labour supporters that they had nowhere else to go. When it comes
to the Green Party.
Well, yeah, and there's that new Workers' Party as well. I wouldn't go there. I would go to the Green Party. When it comes to Starmer's 10 pledges, the situation is, if possible, even worse. Even more most cursory analysis shows that he has broken or rode back on most of the pledges. The Labour Party is now firmly entrenched in the centre ground politics, closer to Blairism than Corbynism, from flying the Union flag to opposing Tories raising corporation tax. The milestone of Labourism. So how have we got here? The problem isn't simply that Starmer isn't genuine or a true socialist, unlike Corbyn, although he is, of course, far to the right of his predecessor. What we're seeing with Starmer, the flag-waving and sheer opportunism, the obsession with boxing clever in Parliament and working within the status quo, isn't abnormal. This is what the Labour Party has been about. This flows from Labourism, the idea that what happens to Parliament is most important to winning changes rather than working class struggles. I should point out, for those who don't know, the Socialist Worker Party are to the left of Labour. Yeah? And what they are saying, I'll never forget the thing that Tony Benn said, right? He was obviously very left-wing. But Tony Benn is one of those people who actually became more left-wing as time went on. And he had, he was a Labour MP, served in the, two Labour cabinets, Labour government cabinets, and he had said that, he'd gone into Parliament to think that he could change the world, change things for the better. And then he realised that those around him in government, they just wanted to sort of like tinker, not actually do anything radical. It was just, we're just different management to the Tories. That was basically it. And it was like, I kind of understand what he's saying, and this is what Starmer doesn't seem to have any principles, any ideology, right? It's just that he thinks he can do a better job than Boris Johnson. Well, I'm sorry, that's not good enough, okay?
Yeah, you have to fight for what you can get done to make actual change. You have to fight for it. You can't just tinker and say, oh, that's mostly okay. No, you actually have to fight for real change. And sometimes you are going to have to vote things that only move stuff towards your goal a little bit, and then you know what you do? You keep fighting for that same goal, and you move it a little bit closer towards that goal.
It seems to me that Keir Starmer wants to compare himself to Clement Attlee, who of course is the Labour Prime Minister who helped bring in the NHS and build the welfare state, right? And it's like, well, Keir, mate, he had, though Clement Attlee, obviously I wasn't alive, but Clement Attlee was known to be a rather boorish kind of, in person, kind of boorish kind of character. But the guy had a vision for the country. Yeah. He thought that Britain, there was a better Britain. After the Second World War. Starmer has none of that. Anyways, there are a whole load of statistics about how badly Starmer is doing, and here's just one. And this, in my view, is a Twitter account worth following, Stats for Lefties. Believe me, they've got a lot of stats on how shite Starmer is. And this is my view, and the most significant stat. Starmer's net rating on whether he looks like Prime Minister in waiting, it looks like a Prime Minister in waiting, has fallen from +8 in June 2020. He did get a bit of a bounce, I remember, to -27 in March 2021. Jeez. Yeah. It's just bad news all around for Starmer. And actually, to go into more depth about these stats, there's a article in on Novara Media's website. For those who don't know, Novara Media are kind of the British version of the Young Turks. They have a YouTube channel. Please go and check it out. Starmer's support will often acknowledge that the Labour Party is behind in the polls, but many will. Starmer supporters will often acknowledge that Labour is behind in the polls, but many will point to Starmer's approval ratings and argue that they are better than the previous leaders. Those approval ratings, however, are not looking good for Starmer, and they are getting worse, as we went over just now. You know, his approval rating has tanked. One key reason for this is that the Tories voters have turned against him, having achieved a relatively good net approval rating of -6 with 2019 Conservative voters in June 2020. Starmer's net rating with those voters has now fallen to an average of -26. Now, this is important, right? For all those who defend when you deal with those who defend Starmer, because they all say, but Corbyn couldn't he couldn't reach past his own base. And this is why we need Starmer, because he'll appeal to Karen, the Tory voter in Tunbridge Wells. Well, here's the thing: he's not doing that.
He's not he's not gaining much approval with anyone. I mean, mostly because he's garbage.
He's behind in the approval ratings behind Boris. I mean, you have to be pretty shit to be lagging behind Boris Johnson in approval ratings, right?
Yeah. I have to go to the bathroom real quick. Sorry.
Okay. Hi, Stuart. How you doing, mate? Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat while Ozma goes for a piss. Sorry for the hold up, folks. Ozma's in the bathroom at the moment. She'll be back in a moment. These things happen. Mm-hmm. I think I hear her returning. Oh, or did I? Sorry, folks. Just waiting for Ozma to return. I thought I heard her returning. We're back,
that is a soundtrack of what was going on.
Hope you washed your hands.
Yeah, of course.
So, it says here, this is the interesting bit of this article. As we saw in previous section, 59% of Labour voters think that Starmer would make the best prime PM. Yeah, well, he hasn't. Yeah, I mean, fuck's sake, Boris or him. Actually, personally, I wouldn't want either.
Yeah.
You'd therefore expect Starmer to be quite popular with Labour voters in terms of approval. And last year he was. Starmer supporters still point to polls where his approval is high. But as with all polling data, it is important to look at the averages. In March, Starmer's average approval rating amongst Labour voters fell to less than 50% for the very first time. 49% approved of him, whilst 24% disapproved. Right, that's a quarter of Labour voters.
Yeah.
Yeah, Starmer's got problems.
It's always a good sign.
So the conclusion is Starmer's 31% approval rating is less popular than Labour 36% in the polls. He's 14 points behind in best PM. His approval with Labour voters has collapsed from 66% in June to 49% in March. His overall approval rating has fallen to negative territory. His leadership ratings in other areas have collapsed. In other words, he needs to go. Okay?
Yeah.
And as I said, there are now supposedly members in the shadow cabinet, hardcore Blairites, who are saying he's not up to the job. Right? So, if he loses, if Labour do badly at the local elections, and
which they will,
yeah, and they particularly will do badly in Scotland and Wales, at the Welsh Assembly and Scottish Parliament elections, he's got to consider his position. I mean, I've already said The only two words I want to hear from Starmer is, I resign. There you are. Now, to add, to all this, Starmer went and did a PR thing for Easter at a church which is notoriously homophobic. Well, it's...
Yay.
Yeah, it espouses homophobic bullshit. Labour leader Keir Starmer is facing a backlash after he visited a notoriously anti-LGBT plus church in London. Starmer visited Jesus House on Friday, 2nd of April, and shared details of his trip on Twitter, promoting a wave of fury from LGBT plus Labour Party members.
It's like he's trying to piss off everybody in Labour.
In a video posted on Twitter, Keir Starmer praised Jesus House as a wonderful example of a church serving their community. Unless, of course, you're LGBT plus. It's been great to meet young people and church leaders here at Jesus House to talk about how to address inequalities and injustice. That's taking the piss. Okay, look, they're talking about a bunch of fucking homophobe and transphobes, what the fuck do they know? They don't give a shit about inequalities and injustices about, when it comes to the fucking LGBT plus community, do they? No. And the crisis has brutally exposed, referring to the coronavirus pandemic. I really wish the media would refer to it as COVID-19, but never mind. Anyways, what I was going to say.
What has Jesus House actually done outside of spiritual direction and counseling?
I think they run a food bank. He did a video there or something or other. I mean, a lot of these churches, the way like, for instance, there was a Christian cult which used to go around and pick people up who are homeless, right? Say, you can come back to our retreat, and have a roof over your head. But of course, they've got to all got to become all kumbaya, don't they, about stuff,
Okay.
The Labour leader quickly forced furious backlash from LGBT plus people, with many drawing attention to Jesus House's record of anti-LGBT plus views and action. In 2009, website can't pronounce that word alleged that Jesus House, which is part of
Ecclesia,
the Redeemed Christian Church of God, had carried out exorcisms on people who are sexually attracted to members of their own sex. Jesus House and denied the allegations. I think this is the church who still thinks that if you're epileptic, you're possessed by demons. If I remember rightly. In 2000,
well, not just that. There's also the so, I got the impression from what you're doing, they're a bit like the I forgot the name of it. They go everywhere and give like clothes and help. Salvation Army.
Yeah, I mean, we know
in the United States, where it's very much unless you're LGBT plus, in which case you don't get any of the help that we would give out to the normal people.
Yeah. Well, anyways, this church has a record of homophobic and transphobic bullshit, right? And so Labour MP Kate Osborne said. Labour Kate Osborne disappointed. We're going to come on to some of the hypocrisy there is around this, by the way. The reaction of, shall we say, people who Labour people are defending Starmer for this. In a minute, Keir Starmer has forced criticism from Labour members for the visit, with many questioning why he would visit the church when Theresa May faced stinging backlash for a similar incident in 2017. You know, well, you see, here's the thing: they didn't fucking vet this. You kind of think before they would go and visit, some church, they would actually have checked. I mean, if Theresa May is fucked up visiting this place, in visiting this place when she was Prime Minister, not making it look her pro LGBTQ cred, any good. Starmer, you kind of think, this church has been in the news before. What the fuck, Starmer? You've got people, haven't you got people who could fucking do some fucking research? So Labour MP Kate Osborne said she was very disappointed by the decision. Yeah. Jesus, that's putting it kind of mildly.
It is. It's incredibly mildly.
I'm trying to see that it. I know that LGBT plus Labour, Owen Jones, who I've met a few times, he says here, a quick Google search would have revealed that Theresa May was condemned for visiting, this rampantly homophobic, church. Unless the Labour leadership wants to make it clear it does not care about LGBT people, it needs to apologise. Well, Starmer's record on LGBT issues is not good. He doesn't give a shit about trans people. And trans rights. He's made that fucking, clear. So, Peter Tatchell says something here. He, of course, well-known LGBT plus campaign and human rights campaigner as well. He does a lot of good work, doesn't he? LGBT plus rights campaigner Peter Tatchell told Pink News that Starmer's visit to the church is a slap in the face to the LGBT plus community, especially black LGBT. I don't like that term. I'm going to say LGBT people. Labour seems to be putting religion before human rights. Strange that, considering Keir Starmer in his previous job was a human rights lawyer. He seems to have forgotten about human rights since he's become fucking Labour leader. This apparent bid to appease bigoted churches is outrageous. Keir Starmer needs to make an immediate statement distancing himself and Labour from the homophobia of Jesus House. Now, the one thing I can't find here is LGBT plus Labour, who are obviously the LGBT plus group in Labour.
Yeah.
They basically sort of said, yeah, we're a bit disappointed in this, like that MP, right? But as Owen Jones said, the reason why you get mealy-mouthed, shite out of LGBT plus Labour is because they're run by careerist hacks. Can I just say, as someone who's sat on the national executive of LGBT plus Labour, yeah, don't I know it? Seriously, that's all they cared about. They just cared about their own fucking political careers, and they didn't care about the cause.
Why care about helping people in a political party?
Right, so Rachel Reeves was on Sky News today defending Keir Starmer.
Oh, God.
Now, let me tell you something about Rachel Reeves. I really don't like Rachel Reeves. Let me tell you why, okay? She was the shadow DWP secretary. Oh, sorry, I should explain to Ozma and everyone else who lives outside the UK. DWP is Department of Work and Pensions, okay? It's basically the welfare secretary, okay?
Okay.
She was the shadow DWP secretary. And she said, right, before the 2015 general election, that Labour would be tougher on disabled people than the Tories had been, which was a fucking insult to disabled people, considering that many had already, thousands had already died due to, the Tories' welfare reform program, and thousands more.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, they're going to be tougher on people who were starved to death or whatnot. Yeah, that's a good sign.
So, Rachel Reeves was on Sky News defending Keir Starmer's decision to visit this church, and fuck me, it's cringe. And I
don't think anyone can.
Sorry, I'd also say it's hypocritical, as I will explain afterwards.
Doubt Keir Starmer's and Labour's commitment to the rights of the LGBT plus community. Just in the last couple of weeks, Labour have been calling out the government on its failure to ban conversion therapy, for example, and Keir Starmer has spoken very powerfully and passionately about what Labour would do in government. He was visiting a vaccine centre. That doesn't mean that we endorse all the views that people who worship there would potentially endorse. But
right. Let me explain something. Okay, first of all, on the issue of Keir Starmer speaking out against conversion therapy and the fact that the Tories are dragging their feet.
Please don't do it.
No,
banning. I mean that's his entire condemnation.
Right, his condemnation.
Oh, okay. I guess I can't stop you here.
Oh no, what are you trying to stop me from doing?
No, I meant sorry. That's my bad. I'm assuming those are the words spoken by Keir Starmer. Please don't do that. I guess I can't stop you there.
Well, no. The reason why he's now taken the sort of, he's now standing up, and saying, conversion therapy should be banned, is because he stuck his finger out of the window and saw which way the wind was blowing and saw that there is pressure mounting on the government to do something. So, political fucking opportunism.
Yeah.
As for this defence of Keir Starmer visiting this church, which is homophobic and transphobic, right, there is a lot of hypocrisy in Rachel Reeves defending him doing so, because I do recall when Jeremy Corbyn was elected, well, even before, when he he was campaigning to be elected leader of the Labour Party, a lot of stuff came out about how he had met representatives of Hamas, right, who are espouse anti-Semitism. Let's be blunt about it, right? And so, thus, because he met representatives of Hamas, he must, who are anti-Semitic, he then must be anti-Semitic. And the right of the fucking Labour Party joined in this bullshit, right? Because, the thing is, Jeremy Corbyn has never said anything remotely fucking anti-Semitic. Now, okay, but he would, he will meet people from all sides of the Israeli-Palestine conflict to see if there is a road, road, if we can develop a roadmap for peace, right? Now, plus also I'd point out that Tony Blair has also met members of Hamas when he was the Middle East peace envoy. Now, Tony Blair is many things, including a war criminal, but I wouldn't say he was an anti-Semite, right? So, the difference here is Starmer, though he's not said anything which is homophobic or transphobic to my knowledge, right, has not said anything against it, right, particularly. And I would give the example of Rosie Duffield, the Labour MP, who spouts transphobic shite after transphobic shite, right, continuously. He's not suspended her from the party, as he should do, right? Why? Because she's on the right of the party. He's prepared to support leadership, so he defends her, right? He says he wanted to end factionalism. Well, he hasn't, has he? He's fucking indulged in it.
Yeah, and
I have to say,
and Keir Starmer, it's hard to believe that Keir Starmer's against conversion therapy when he goes in support of a church that supports conversion therapy.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is people like conversion therapy. It sounds like it's scientific. It's not. It's backed by fucking religious groups who all believe in hocus pocus bullshit. You know, it's this old crusty book says LGBTQ people are bad, right? And you know, and this book was written by some mystical sky daddy who doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I actually think people who believe that are the ones who need to be sent to therapy.
Yeah, well, ideally, it's not people. I mean, just my opinion, because I don't think exorcisms work for exorcising people from being gay, and I don't think exorcisms.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell. Actually, I did the voice wrong. Your mother sucks cocks in hell. Anyway, done it.
There you go. I still haven't. I haven't actually seen that movie. The last time I saw a movie involving the devil, well, not a movie. The last thing I saw a film of or any sort of video involving the devil was Lil Nas X and his wonderful devil music video.
Yeah. Right. So. Right. So. But Labour haven't just been. It's not just homophobia with Labour. So a Labour MP was handing out these leaflets. Charlotte Nichols in what was it? Somewhere like Warrington up north, right? And on it says, "Dealing with the traveller incursions." It sounds like the fucking gypsy, Roma and traveller community are fucking invading. They're trying to take over.
Yeah, so no, it's fine. Nothing wrong with what Labour is doing. They're trying to prevent white people from being replaced by those travelers. They're incurring on the white race, and oh my god. Sorry, I can't do the fucking race replacement theory. Like, I mean, it's all fucking... the fundamental views are based on that, and the fact that Labour is sending out leaflets that promote
let me tell you something.
Bullshit.
If you want to know one community who is seriously marginalised in this country, it is the Gypsy, Roma and Traveller community. They seriously are, right? And you know, you look to parties like the Labour Party to stick up for, you know, the injustices done to minorities. No. And to be honest, this is not the first time Labour pulled some bullshit like this. But really, you know, this is why I'm not a member of the fucking Labour Party. It's not just the rank hypocrisy about, oh, well, it's all right for, you know, for Keir Starmer to go and visit a church which spouts homophobia, but if Jeremy Corbyn, you know, sneezes in a 10-mile radius of a synagogue, then he's an anti-Semite, you know, and there's hysterical fucking, you know, headlines in the fucking Daily Mail about it. You know, that's the problem. I'm sick and tired of this. I really am. This is why I'm going to join the Green Party. Yeah?
Yeah.
Labour have got to sort their shit out. However, Jeremy Corbyn over the weekend spoke at the Kill the Bill rally in London. Okay, it was attended by quite a few thousand people. I don't know what some people are going to say. Oh, you know, you're a hypocrite because you said, you know, you've got to go anti-lockdown protest. Look, anti-lockdown protests were basically a bunch of, you know, anti-vaxxers and people who weren't considerate enough to wear a fucking mask in a supermarket. Okay, those are the, you know, this is different. Plus, also, we're at a different stage now. Okay, in this pandemic.
So what's the Kill the Bill protest about?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if you're on the show, but basically, the government trying to get this piece of legislation through Parliament, though for now it's been kicked into the long grass. Basically, but it's still on, you know, they still plan to introduce it, you know, It's just they put it off for a little while.
Oh, is it the anti-protest bill?
Yeah, it's basically the bill which would take the right to protest away, and also would discriminate against more, would bring in laws which discriminate even more towards the Gypsy, Roma, and traveller community.
Yeah, and it would give the police more power, and that which is also bad.
And as I said, Jeremy Corbyn spoke at this rally and showed us why he is such, a man of principle and integrity, unlike Keir Starmer.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry, I should warn you, the sound quality ain't that great, but I think you can hear what he has to say.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of inevitable in with live recordings of protests outside.
Thank you, every one of you, for being here today. This is one of around 50 demonstrations all around the country today. Thank you.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention there were other protests around the country.
Yeah.
There's been continuous protests in Bristol, where there's also been an awful lot of police brutality. Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah.
The police being miffed at people protesting against them getting more power so they can act even more like fascist pigs. It's funny what a uniform and a gun and a badge will do to people, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Stanford experiment, I think was right. Anyways.
Thank you for speaking up for civil liberties, for justice. Thank you for speaking up for the right to speak up. Because what we're protesting against today is the police bill, but that should also be taken in the context of a series of pieces of legislation that this government is trying to push through that place over there. The Spy Cops bill, the Overseas Operations bill, all these bills designed to empower a Secretary of State to legislate beyond the powers of Parliament, to restrict protest, to organise counter-surveillance operations, and so many other things. This is a very, very dangerous and very slippery slope. Now, people often say to me,
can I ask you a question?
Jeremy,
would Keir Starmer be found anywhere near a sign language interpreter?
Yeah, yes. I mean, there's a Labour speech, there probably will be a sign language interpreter there.
Okay.
But he wouldn't be anywhere near a rally. You see, like this. You see, even when Jeremy Corbyn was leader, he turned up to rallies like this. In fact, the day he was elected Labour leader, right? I remember this well. I remember most of the day well, until the bit I got absolutely blind drunk. Seriously, I did.
Yeah,
I got more drunk that day than I think I've ever got. Anyways, he when he was elected Labour leader, he went straight to an anti-racist demo. Yeah. Rather than talk to the press, he went, "No, fuck you! I'm going to go and talk I'm going to go talk at an anti-racist demo because this is a guy who campaigns on the policies, right?"
Yeah, and also you have to make an effort to learn what the people's problems are and hear what people are speaking out against and try to do your best to improve the life and well-being of people.
I mean, I went to an anti-Trump protest back in... there was a big one in 2018, and then there was one in... I didn't hear him at the 2018 one. I'm not saying he wasn't there. It's just that by the time I got to Trafalgar Square, it was a really big rally. It was like 500,000 people. So,
was it the 2000?
It was when Trump
19
came,
was it the 2019 impeachment?
No.
Okay.
There was Trump came over to Britain for a state visit in 2019, and 500,000 people turned up in London to basically protest. Right? I don't know. I remember my fiance saying, "Well, what does it? You're not going to stop him from the state visit." I said, "That's not the point. The point is, all people are likely to come out and protest means the protesters, the people who've organised the protest, can get on fucking television because they've got a fucking mandate, haven't they?" Which was true, because Saka went on Good Morning Britain and then clashed with a certain Piers Morgan. But it was 2019 when Trump came back for another. He came back to, I don't know for what reason it was. Jeremy Corbyn did. It was a Tuesday, and this was like a Tuesday afternoon, right? So work day, right? Okay. And it was raining as well, but still, 200,000 people turned up, and Corbyn was there to address them. Now, Keir Starmer wouldn't have fucking done that. Yeah, that's the kind of guy he is. He will go out and talk to the masses. And I think that's a great quality, as far as I'm concerned.
You've been on protests all your life. Well, that's true. Absolutely true. And they say, you know what? They never work. They never change anything. So I say to them...
The thing is, and I'll say this, Jeremy Corbyn himself, being Labour leader, has actually changed this country. It's just that people won't see that change for another 30 years. He has radicalised a whole generation of young people.
Yeah.
Right? Now, not all of them are going to carry on with socialism, I know that, but many will.
Yeah.
And they will they have got involved with politics, and they'll keep being involved in politics. And eventually things will change because of those people. Right? He inspired. Same with Bernie Sanders in America.
Yeah.
They might have failed, right? In their political ambitions, but others will succeed who are inspired by them.
Look into the history of our society and our movement. Look at those who were so brutally mown down in Peterloo in Manchester in the 1820s. They fought back. Look at the Tolpuddle martyrs who deported and came back as heroic trade unionists. Look at the Chartists who marched through this very city in the mid-19th century in order that we should have the vote, in order that our children should get free education, in order that our working hours should be limited to 8 per day. Look at all those protests that made a massive difference. Those that brought about the old age pension, brought about the principles of national insurance. And anyone who protests is denigrated at the time. They're vilified, they're attacked, they're brutally attacked by the mainstream media day in and day out. They're vilified and they're made into pariahs.
Malcolm X, vilified. Martin Luther King, vilified by the establishment.
Yeah.
And yet 50 years on from the assassination of Martin Luther King, even Republicans want to fucking praise him.
Yeah. And I mean, early Malcolm X admittedly was associated with the
Nation of Islam,
one cult and once he got out of that, though, he did incredible change and incredible things. Not to say that what he did beforehand was bad, because he did fight for rights before that as well.
And hate figures. Read the history of the Pankhurst, particularly Sylvia Pankhurst, before the First World War.
Just to explain to you, though they were suffragettes, campaigned for women to have the vote.
Gotcha.
And would you believe it, there's now a statue up to suffragettes here. The Daily Mail couldn't attack her enough. Yet, 50 years, 100 years later, they're treated as national heroes because they brought about fundamental changes in our society. And so it is necessary to have the right to protest. It is necessary to be able to make your voice heard. And if you don't protest, things don't change. Imagine Rosa Parks. Imagine Rosa Parks in the USA in 1957. She refused to accept the colour bar. She refused to accept the racism. She refused to accept the Jim Crow laws. Her individual act of bravery led to the civil rights movement, led to Martin Luther King, and led to, for the first time, some degree of anti-racist legislation in the United States. Had she listened to the naysayers, she'd have got off the bus and gone home shaking her head, saying it doesn't seem very fair that a white man can ride on the bus, but me, a black woman, is not allowed on the bus. It's the brave people who stood up that have changed things in this world. And a few meters to my right, there's a statue of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela, convicted in the Rwanda treason trial, sentenced to decades and decades of imprisonment, eventually came out a popular hero and the next president of South Africa.
And while he was in prison, the British government under Thatcher considered him a terrorist.
Well, of course. I mean, it's fucking Thatcher.
Yeah. Just thought I should remind people of that.
Yeah.
Why? Because the people of South Africa, the black people, the coloured people of South Africa would not accept apartheid, would not accept his imprisonment, and the apartheid system was overthrown by popular protest.
Indeed it was. I was involved.
When we've won the right to protest, it's important that we defend it. But this piece of legislation that's being pushed through Parliament at the moment will say that you can only have a demonstration with the agreement of the police if they approve it, and that you're silent if you're outside here.
Yeah, basically they're outside Parliament, right? You got to be silent outside Parliament. No, I kind of think that MPs, you know, when they're voting on shit, should hear the voices of protest outside, right?
Yeah.
You know, as V said in Viva Vendetta, you know, people shouldn't be scared of the government. Government should be scared of people.
Yeah.
Within the privacy of this small number of people in this square, can I share an idea with you? How about, come Christmas time, if we haven't defeated the legislation by then, a whole bunch of us meet here in Parliament Square and beautifully and in tune sing Silent Night. To see what happens then. But it's also about preventing communities standing up. Standing next to me is the wonderful Zara Sultana, MP for Coventry, who has so bravely spoken out on so many occasions against this bill and all other acts of injustice. And I'm so proud to be stood here alongside her. And also, just near me on this statue, on this plinth here, is Howard Beckett of Unite. Howard, thank you for speaking out for working class communities whenever vilification is thrown at you all the time. Because going back again, not so long ago in history, in the 1970s, a Tory government led by Ted Heath tried to restrict the powers of trade unions to act to represent their members and was threatened with all kinds of terrible things. They imprisoned 5 dockers in Pentonville prison. What happened? A massive and illegal demonstration and strikes took place all over the country. And within 4 days, the official solicitor appointed a tipstaff who went to the prison and asked for the release of the 5 dockers. They were released because of popular action to defend trade union rights. And so we have to look at what this bill will also do. It will prevent communities speaking out against maybe unfair planning decisions that are happening to them, maybe all kinds of things. but one community that is almost always vilified, almost always badly treated, almost always attempted to be silent, are the Gypsy and Traveller and Roma people of this country. Well, I stand with the Gypsy, Roma and Traveller communities in this country, as I do all across Europe. And they have always been the ones under threat. When the Nazis got to power in Germany, they came for the gay community, they came for the Roma community, they came for the Jewish community, they came for the black community, they came for every other identifiable minority in order to kill them, murder them and destroy them. The road to oppression is the silence of the rest of us. So I do say, stand up for your right to protest, stand up for your right to make your voice heard. And can we send a message today, here in Parliament Square, to those people in Myanmar who are now being bombed by the military? And last week I had a long conversation, a call with one of the leaders of the Garment Workers Union, who said to me, the military are coming after the working class organisations, they're coming after the trade unions, they're trying to silence us because we want the right to organise, to improve our conditions, improve our wages. And what does our government do? Tries to buy PPE equipment from Myanmar, from militarily owned companies there. So, we are in.
And I'm sure they're ensuring that their, crony fucking corporate mates make a nice tidy profit from the commission,
Oh yeah.
We are acting today in solidarity with so many other people all around the world. Making our voice heard is very important. And that's why we on this platform have voted against the second reading of the police bill, likewise the spy cops bill, likewise the overseas operations bill, and I voted against the renewal of the coronavirus restrictions, not because I deny corona, I don't. It's serious, it's real, and it's dangerous. But you don't have to empower the police on the back of that legislation in order to prevent civil activities, civil protests, and all the rest of it. And so, I simply say to you this: silence would be consent to this piece of legislation. Our presence here, such as our presence at Clapham when poor Sarah Everard was murdered and there was a perfectly correct and proper vigil held in her memory. I want to live in a society where it is safe to walk the streets, where you can speak out, you can demonstrate, and you don't have to seek the permission of the police or the Home Secretary to do so. Democracy and democratic rights were never handed down from above. The rich, the powerful, the big businesses, the big corporations never demanded freedom of speech, never demanded freedom of organising, never demanded rights for trade unionists. All they demanded was power and privilege and preservation of power and privilege for themselves. I want to live in a world of peace and justice. I want to live in a world of human rights and democracy. And I'm prepared to make people uncomfortable in that process of defending and advancing our human rights and our justice. Thank you all for being here today.
Now that's a speech.
Yeah.
Passion, passion, integrity and principle. Something Keir Starmer sorely lacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really wish Jeremy was still Labour leader. Yeah, because of that. That's the kind of leader I'll get behind. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, unfortunately, there was some clashes with the police.
Wait. Are you saying that the police are desire to have more power and want to clash with protesters who are protesting police having excess rights.
Yeah. Yeah. It says a young woman was arrested for doing absolutely nothing. Well, yeah, that's fucking typical police. I played a video clip I saw on Facebook of literally two people walking down the street, and basically they were arrested for essentially walking down the street.
I thought it was going to be one of those funny racist situations where they went and just arrested one of them and just picked him up and grabbed that person away.
Yeah, there we are. And as I say, funny how the mainstream media always reports about injuries to police, but not injuries to protesters due to the police. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's always like, it's a police officer's got hurt. Well, what about the fucking protesters they've been beating the shit out of, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this was at the Kill the Bill rally in London.
Well, don't you see,
look at that fucking
Sophia, police are they're a marginalized community. There's less police than there are of the rest of the country, and therefore acts against them are a travesty.
And if they're not beating up protesters, they're protecting lumps of stone. Yeah, because you see, as well as flag shagging probably becoming compulsory. Soon enough you're gonna it's gonna be compulsory to suck the cock of fucking Winston Churchill. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, the way some people go about him, look, he did. Yeah, okay. I'm not denying that. His sort of all the speeches he gave during the Second World War got helped inspire this country to get through the Second World War. I'll give Winston Churchill credits due, but the guy was an out-and-out fucking racist and bigot.
Well, yeah, and I heard he didn't do the best job in Gallipoli during World War One, and also that he was really happy that Pearl Harbor happened and America could come in. Yeah.
And so, I mean, some on the far right are just raising him to sort of, so that he's some sort of fucking deity. No, he's not.
Yeah, he's not that great.
No.
I mean, he's good. He did good things in World War II. I'm not going to disagree with you there. He did. His speeches inspired people, and it helped people to keep going on and have some hope or whatnot. But, that's not everything.
And the thing is, right, it's Piers Morgan lost his rag with some academic who basically said that, Churchill wasn't as great as people think he is. Yeah. And Piers Morgan was going on at him, and he said, all those troops, all those troops who gave their lives to protect this country, to defend this country during the Second World War. And he said, and the academic pointed out, and they came home and voted for a Labour government and voted Churchill out of office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to the military, they always care about the troops while they're fighting. But once they come home, they're garbage to a lot of conservative leaders.
So Bristol police have been, well, as it says, the headline says, Bristol police chief accepts force was slow to correct protest injury claims. Slow to admit, basically, that they lied.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Liars oftentimes do.
And just call him what he is, a fucking liar.
Yeah.
That's what he is. They did exaggerate, the number of police injured by with clash with protesters. I wonder why. It wouldn't be, we need more power, we need more money. Look at all these police getting injured. Right, so alternatives. Right. So, local elections coming up in about a month. Well, there's this leaflet. this is obviously put around. I would reckon it's something like the Brexit Party or some right-wing, far-right reactionary. You know, the Green Party want to abolish the royal family. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Scrap our nuclear defences. Replace the Ministry of Defence with a Ministry for Peace. Prevent home ownership. That's a lie, by the way. Implement nationwide clean air zones. What's wrong with that? Double spending on foreign aid. What's wrong with that? Tax more, redistribute your wealth. Don't be fooled by the local Greens. A vote for the Green Party on the 6th of May is a vote to give extreme left-wing politics a platform and authenticity. Sounds good to me. Sounds brilliant. Sounds awesome. Vote Green.
Yeah.
All that. Now.
I mean, it's more socialist than the Labour Party at the moment.
And will likely be so for some time, because even if they oust Starmer, they're going to replace another right wing, bod. I mean, they might be a bit more competent. And don't get me wrong, right? The Blair government, yeah, okay, the Iraq War and privatising the NHS by stealth and
sucking Bush's dick.
Yeah. But I will, the Blair government did do some good things. Peace in Northern Ireland, the start of the ball rolling with LGBTQ equality. The fact that they did safeguard the welfare state. So I'm not going to deny they didn't do some good things, okay? But it's like, a grandfather, a broken clock face, on a grandfather clock, gets the time right twice a day, That's kind of how I feel about it. Anyways, in a connecting story with the Green Party, I don't know if you're on the show, but basically the BBC defended a few weeks ago. The Newsnight ran this segment. That segment me and Kevin Logan reacted to, right? There were complaints made that there were no trans people involved with that segment about trans issues, right? About Kira Bell, the turfy poisonous minx, is a case against the Tavistock, right? And basically, the BBC said, "Oh, we don't need trans people to debate trans issues." Well, this is similar. The Welsh Green Party didn't invite the Green. BBC. Sorry, the BBC Cymru, that's Wales. Didn't invite the Green Party to its leaders debate.
Shock.
Yeah. Sorry, we're in a climate emergency. I'm getting tired. We're in a climate emergency, but BBC Cymru didn't invite the Green Party to its leaders' debate. Yeah. Why aren't I surprised? Yeah.
We're in a climate emergency, but BBC Cymru didn't invite the Green Party to its leaders' debate.
On the 29th of April, BBC Cymru will hold a leaders' debate in the run-up to the Welsh Assembly, Senedd Cymru, elections. The Assembly elections take place on the 6th of May. And the Canary has been following matters in the run-up to these elections as part of its #Independence 2021 series. The BBC has invited leaders of Welsh parties to participate in the debate. That includes leaders from Plaid Cymru, Welsh Labour, Welsh Liberal Democrats, Welsh Conservatives, and Abolish the Welsh Assembly Party, AWAP. In addition to the global pandemic, the election takes place during a climate
Abolish the Welsh Assembly. They're a right-wing put-up job, I would imagine. And that wouldn't be they would be less popular than the fucking Greens, right? Devolution is popular, so particularly in Scotland, of course. And this is just a fucking disgrace. I'm sorry, it is.
Yeah,
it's typical BBC fucking bias, Tory bias again, or shall we say, the way I understand the BBC, a lot of people say, oh, you know, you always hear like conservatives, oh, it's got a left-wing bias. No, it fucking doesn't, right? I'm pretty fair with this, right? I know, you know, people say, oh God, you know, you're more left-wing than fucking Lenin. No, I'm not. Okay, I am relatively fair on this, right? And I will say that the BBC...
Also, which Lenin do they mean? The Lenin from the Beatles or the Vladimir Ilyich Lenin?
The you know which one Lenin.
I know.
And though, you know, I've got a few things to say about John Lennon, but that's a subject for another
day. That's a different story.
Anyways,
let's not get into John Lennon.
Yeah, okay. So basically, I watch a lot of political television, right? I can tell you that the BBC has a Tory bias. It really does. Okay? Now, this is because there's a Tory government at the moment, and of course the BBC Charter is up for renewal soonish, and of course the BBC are shitting themselves about getting that Charter renewed. Of course, 20 years ago, there was a Labour government. Did the BBC favour Labour then? Sort of, yeah. It's always...
Oh, okay.
You know, the BBC will always slightly lean more to whichever party's in power. And constantly always lean towards the establishment. They always have an establishment bias. What I mean by this is, for instance, if you ever watch Question Time, which is this weekly panel current affairs panel show, right, where you have politicians and, you know, public figures, you know, answering questions from an audience, right? And I've never seen an actual anarchist on the show.
Yeah,
I've seen John Lydon, who was a poser anarchist when he was Johnny Rotten, but even he admits he was a poser anarchist, right? And, you know, I mean, he's a Trump supporter now. I mean, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
You know, you never saw Noam Chomsky on this fucking... You would never see Noam Chomsky on this thing, you know? You know what I'm saying? And that's establishment bias, you know, because basically anarchists aren't taken seriously, you know? And I kind of feel, well, there's quite a lot of... I know quite a lot of anarchists. Yeah. They have a right to be heard as well.
Yeah, but then people might like actually hear the policy of anarchism and not and actually start to understand it, and that wouldn't be good.
Right.
For people not wanting to be lorded over.
If people are asking why I've got my ad blocker on the Daily Express, it's because the Daily Express is the most right wing of the daily newspapers, and you know it supports fucking the Brexit Party, and it's just atrocious. Anyways, this is hilarious. So Nigel Farage is on a mission to save the planet and plant 3 trillion trees. What the fuck? Is it? Is he? He says climate extremism. What he means? He's been an outspoken critic of climate extremism. No, he's a fucking climate change denier. That's what he's been. Him and Christopher Monkton, or whatever his fucking name is. This is he wants to go now. He's trying to up his green credentials. What's he going to do? Flip and join the fucking Green Party now? I don't think so.
Well, no. What, join a party that has a lot of socialist viewpoints? No.
I was supporting the green ideas before the Green Party. Look, he has this romantic notion of the British countryside. Okay, and he still believes in the sort of fucking, the Lord of the Manor and all that bullshit. He supports fox hunting. He's always, if there's a fox hunt, he's there supporting the fucking, the toss on in their stupid costumes on top of horses, chasing fucking furry creatures across the fucking British countryside. And let me tell you something, right? People seem to think that, you know, I'm a townie and I don't understand fox hunting. No, I live in a semi-rural area, and there are fox hunts around here. Now, my position on fox hunting has always been this, right? I don't give a shit. I know that sounds weird, and a lot of animal rights people really don't like me for that. But the reason why I don't give a shit is because farmers are going to shoot the foxes anyways, and I kind of think, fuck it, let the toffs have their fun. However, do I find fox hunting barbaric? Yes, I do. I think it's just pure fucking bloodlust. And that's what I want the toffs to admit. That, you know, they just do it because they want to feed their fucking bloodlust. Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, Nigel Farage trying to up his fucking green credentials. Fuck off. Right?
Well, he wants to, you know, up his ability to take camera shots.
Right. So, Tommy Robinson. He's in trouble again.
Oh no. Not Tommy.
The police have raided my mother's house. Been to my ex-wife's house. I have a warrant out for my arrest for the Steve Wraith podcast. Now, if you've watched that podcast,
basically he's the police. It's hate speech. He's been inciting hate again. Why should we be fucking surprised that, you know, I mean, this is a guy, never mind about all his political stuff, he's a correct fucking criminal. I mean, he's been, you know, he's a violent thug, he's been to prison for that, he's a fraudster, he's been to prison for that, he's been to prison for, you know, he now thinks he's a fucking journalist, but he brought down a fucking, a very expensive trial of a paedophile ring, and he now thinks he's like he's now the great pedo hunter. The thing is, right, he's only interested in pedo rings which involve people with brown skin, shall we say?
Yeah, no, that sounds about right.
And here's the other thing with Tommy and this arrest warrant. His solicitor actually had the cheek to ask the police if they could arrange a time for Tommy to come to a police station to surrender himself, right? And they said, no, he either comes here or we're coming round to get him. Right? But even if they do arrange a time for him to surrender himself at a police station, right, it's like he can't do this anymore. Now, this falls into our regular feature of stuff that Ozma doesn't know that Alex Jones did. Because this is from InfoWars from a few years ago. Now, the last time Tommy was facing prison, he went on the Alex Jones show, and I am going to say this is fucking cringe. Absolute fucking cringe.
2 days away from being sentenced to death in the UK.
You're still alive, Tommy. I've just seen a video of you, mate.
I mean, on behalf of my family, we love the United States. I have no future here. It's inevitable. I will be murdered. I will be killed.
Hold on, Tommy. You're a fucking patriot, mate. You know, aren't patriots meant to stand up for their fucking country, you know? I've got no future. I've got to fuck off. You know? What a fucking snowflake hypocrite.
My name is Tommy Robinson. Today I'm calling on the help of Donald Trump, his administration and the Republican Party to grant me and my family political asylum in the United States of America. I'm sat here today before you to make my case of political persecution. I have been found guilty of what is the equivalent of exercising First Amendment rights.
No, you brought down a fucking... You nearly brought down a trial of a paedophile ring. Yeah? And what really was... I should have put this in the running order. So, after he did get out, by the way, he wasn't killed in prison, right? In fact, actually, he was assaulted in prison. but he was actually assaulted by another. It wasn't assaulted by any Islamic, Muslim or Islamic, whatever you might refer, inmate, right? He was actually assaulted by another white inmate who thought he was too big for his boots. So, but anyways, when he got out of prison, he went on Tucker Carlson's show, and you have different laws in America, okay? To our, your legal system's different to ours, right? And thus, probably didn't understand that you can't say certain things during a trial in this country, okay? For good fucking reason, right?
Yeah.
So, fuck you, Tucker Carlson. Anyways, so you can't.
Well, I mean, Tucker Carlson is a handbook for anti-Semites to, learn from.
Yeah, he's a white supremacist. I was gonna say, so he can't. Obviously, Donald's not not in office anymore. And as it goes, Donald Trump did not give him political asylum. In fact, Tommy Robinson is actually barred from entering the United States.
Oh.
Good job too. Talking of bigots, so Holocaust denier Alison, I can't pronounce that.
Alison Shablos?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jailed over a barrage of anti-Semitic abuse. Far-right activist. I always call these people activists. Far-right gobshite. Jews of turning Jews of
the far-right activist accused Jews of turning their children into psychopathic maniacs and running anything that's worth controlling. No and no. But anyways, a Holocaust denier has been jailed for claiming that Jews control anything that's worth controlling. Alison Shablos, I can't pronounce her name properly either. I just sound like I do. 57 of St. John Woods was found guilty of communications offense on Wednesday and was handed 18-week prison sentence, of which she will serve 9 weeks behind bars. Westminster Magistrates Court heard how Shablos claimed on the social media network Gab that anything that's worth controlling will have Jews there controlling it, and accuses Jews of turning children into psychopathic maniacs. She also stated that Jews were persecuted in Nazi Germany because they had been behaving in a certain fashion, as we're seeing again today, and that some Jews should be deported. Oh, how wonderful, saying that it's understandable that what Nazi Germany did to the Jews. That's not full-on neo-Nazi. Nah. The offense was committed while Shablos, formerly of Glossip, was on a suspended sentence. Stephen Silverman of Campaign Against Anti-Semitism said Allison's repulsive comments or repulsive opinions about Jews can be traced back to the beer halls of 1930s Germany. Actually, it can be traced back further than that, but because of the 80s. But yeah.
Here's the thing that some people say: is it really worth sending these people to prison? Yeah, it is. Because it's the stiffest sentence and it's the stiffest thing you can do, and it's to encourage them to shut the fuck up in spouting hate. Yeah. I know some people say it's against free speech. That's a tricky one. I think if you're inciting hate, it's borderline. I mean, the thing is, she was doing it on Gab, so I kind of think, well, it was Gab's kind of a far right echo chamber, so yeah. I mean, as I said, I'm not going to mourn the fact she's been jailed. So Leo Radfrica and partner Matt and partner Matt forced to move after homophobic threats from the far right. Now, Leo Varadkar is the Deputy Prime Minister in Ireland. So, Leo Varadkar and his partner Matt have been forced to move out of their home after they received homophobic death threats from the far right. The former Irish leader has been subjected to extremely... I think he still is deputy. I know he was leader. The former Irish leader has been subjected to extremely serious death threats in recent weeks, some of which were of a homophobic nature. Ireland's Sunday Independent reports. Leo Varadkar and his partner Matt have reported advised to leave their home in Castle Knock, Dublin, by Ireland's police to force Dublin Ireland's police force
by Ireland's police force as threats escalated. They have now been given extra protection by police and are in a more secure location. The most recent death threats directed at Varadkar, who currently serves as deputy leader in the Irish government, are said to be particularly nasty. He has been targeted by anti-lockdown extremists and loyalist paramilitaries from Northern Ireland.
Oh, there's a fucking surprise. Yeah. The paramilitaries, who have an association with the Democratic Ulster Party. Or as I like to call them, the Ulster Bigoted Party.
Yeah, and the death threats are viewed as credible by security forces, which is bad. Homophobic ones are unnerving. Yeah,
this is sad because Ireland have made such progress when it comes to LGBTQ equality. They're now ahead of us because there's self-identification, self-ID. Sorry, for trans people in Ireland, the Republic of Ireland. You know. So this is not good to hear. So, I knew this would happen.
Yep. Wait, are you saying that when the leader starts supporting anti-LGBT plus stuff, that Israel starts pouring out anti-LGBT plus legislation?
Well, no, it's because essentially Benjamin Netanyahu is going to have to do deals with far right parties to keep him in power. We've talked about this. And they have some pretty horrendous views when it comes to LGBT plus issues. So Israel's, this is not good for LGBT plus.
It's bad. There's a lot more hate in Israel than is talked about because of the laws were decent, but yeah.
It is. The Israeli anti-LGBT plus Noam party has offered to form a coalition with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the condition that he rolls back gender equality laws. Jesus. The extremist faction of the right-wing religious Zionist party announced on Thursday, the 1st of April, that they would recommend Netanyahu, Israel's longest-serving prime minister, be tasked with the forming of another government. The fact that he's the longest-serving prime minister is kind of an awful indictment on the Israeli election.
Yeah, that's a problem with the Israeli government.
In return for helping him cling to power, they released a string of conditions that includes a demand to amend the UN-based Government Resolution 2331 to reflect what they see as to reflect what they see as Jewish values. The law is aimed at promoting. The law is aimed at promoting gender equality in public institutions, and requires the government to work to strengthen the safety of women in public sphere and prevent violence against them. Now, let me explain something. The often accusation from the far right about Islam is that it has a doctrine of treating basically that women have to work, basically be locked up indoors, and when they go out, they have to wear a burqa, right? Let me tell you, Orthodox Judaism isn't much better.
Nope, it's not. It's not burqa though. I mean, you can do a burqa-like equivalent, but wigs also
yes, because women
hide the hair.
Women have to shave their hair, and wear wigs, and they have to also look modest, don't they? And
yeah,
this is the kind of bullshit. Okay, requires the government to work to strengthen the safety of women in public sphere and prevent. Besides amending the resolution, the extremist party would also order government bodies to act in accordance with the principles of the so-called Jewish nation-state law. Oh God, that piece of fascist bullshit. According to the Times of Israel, this defines Israel as a nation-state of the Jewish people. Thus, basically, it gives how do I explain it? It gives priority. It sort of holds Jewish people higher than other Israeli citizens who aren't Jewish.
Yeah.
Nation state of the Jewish people, a law strongly opposed by Israelis, Druze, and other Arab minorities, who say it effectively makes them second class citizens. Exactly. In addition, Nome will demand the establishment of a new government office called the Defence of the Nation, the Office for Defecting and Neutralising Foreign Influences. Jesus, this is really extreme stuff.
Yeah. Also, I'm having trouble finding out what they're talking about when it comes to UN security. Like, I found they're talking about UN government resolution, and the only thing I found is UN Nation Security Council Resolution 2331, which is against sex trafficking largely.
But all right, do you know which country in the world has more UN resolutions against them?
I'm not sure.
Well, it's actually staring you in it's right in front of you.
Oh, United States.
No, Israel.
Oh, okay. Oh.
But they're nullified because of the United States.
Okay.
So, deeply conservative country of Georgia gives trans women legal recognition for the first time. The deeply conservative country of Georgia was legally recognized a trans woman's gender identity for the first time ever. On March the 25th, the Ministry of Justice of Georgia granted trans women's request to change their legal gender status to female. Her birth certificate was also reissued by authorities, setting a huge precedent for the country. The historic milestone was first reported by Open Democracy, and the Georgian Women's Rights Group, which had said women had submitted, which said the woman had submitted a medical certificate confirming she'd had undergone gender-affirming surgery.
That's disappointing, but still a step in the right direction. I know some states in the United States still have that, and I know.
It's trans people who don't want to undergo bottom surgery or other invasive medical procedures are barred from having their gender recognised, and the huge costs of the surgery are not covered by the National Health Service. That's not good. However, can I just point out something? Even in this country, supposedly if you pre-op and you've lived as a woman for or a man, or you can get a gender recognition certificate, but believe that the quango you have to go through, they don't like pre-ops. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
This is obviously a good, move.
Yeah, no, this is a step in the right direction, and I think still technically, I mean, I haven't looked into the law too much, but it sounds like it might be still better than Japan, which you do have to guarantee making sure you are unable to have children or whatever is in law. That's a requirement for the transition being accepted by the government.
Whilst the country of Georgia makes progress, unfortunately the state of Georgia isn't.
Oh God, yeah.
Queer black lawmaker arrested for knocking on governor's door as he signs revolved voting bill. A queer black lawmaker was arrested after she dared to knock on the governor's door as he signed into law a law to restrict voting rights. Park Cannon, a Georgian state representative, was arrested and forcibly removed from the state's Capitol building on Thursday, while Republican Governor Brian Kemp, who cheated his way to the governorship, by the way, signed the bill. He is expected to make voting even more difficult for residents. Yeah, unless they vote for him, of course. In videos shared on social media, Park Cannon can be seen standing outside the governor's closed door, speaking peacefully with a police officer. When she knocked on the door, the police officer grabbed her arm, while a second police officer swooped in to aid in her arrest. In shocking video footage shared widely on Twitter, Cannon can be seen being forcefully handcuffed by several police officers and dragged out of the governor's building.
Why does she have to step back?
The governor is signing a bill that affects all Georgians. Why is he doing it in private, and why is he trying to keep elected officials who are representing us out of the process?
Exactly.
I know you don't have any control over anything other than suppressing people's right to vote and using your guns and your abilities to talk.
Yeah, you said you give her one more time, like you're going to do something. Are you serious?
No, you are not.
No. She's not under arrest.
For what? Under arrest for what? For trying to see something that our governor is doing? Our governor is signing a bill that affects all Georgians, and you're going to arrest an elected representative. Why does the governor have more power than a representative? Why are you arresting her?
This is how they treat peaceful political protests in Georgia.
Yeah. This is actually, because they're being filmed, they're being nicer than they normally would.
Yeah, they'll probably get their truncheons. What do they call them in America? They don't call them truncheons, do they?
Police batons.
Yeah, I said batons. Yeah, a baton. Sorry.
I've got a retractable one. Not a police baton, but like a retractable baton.
Right.
I own one.
Yeah, well,
they're cool.
Well, yeah,
not when police use them.
They'd clubber the fucking death, wouldn't they? So if the cameras weren't there. Anyways, because of the new voting restriction bill in Georgia, the Major League Baseball pulls All-Star game from Atlanta in protest of the restricted new voting law.
Yeah. Wait, are you saying protests do something and have actual effect? Are you saying speaking out does something?
Actually, Dusty Smith, I should have included, but Dusty Smith is otherwise known as Cult Dusty on YouTube. Please go and subscribe to his channel because he's awesome.
Yeah.
Dusty's
always been like a cool person.
He hasn't
always been a cool person. Sorry, He's been a cool person as long as I've known him, which is less than a year.
Well, I've known him a few years, so yeah. I've always thought he was all right. He's boycotting Coca-Cola because he said, well, Coca-Cola, it's not like they supported this, but they've been really like, they haven't opposed it really, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I drink Pepsi anyway, so.
Yep, same. It's a fact. Queer people drink Pepsi.
But guess who doesn't think?
I say that right after I drink some Diet Coke. I actually am like a total.
Well, you shouldn't drink. But it's not just It's not just the fact that Coca-Cola are saying fuck all in opposition to this law, and we should explain to people Coca-Cola are based in Atlanta. It's basically, you need to look into what happened in Colombia, the country. There was a bottling plant there, and when they tried to unionize the workers there, people got shot. So
there's a lot of problem with Coca-Cola. It's just one of those things where what happened with the Pepsi and Coca-Cola here in America is they split it with contract, so certain restaurants can only sell Coke products, or certain restaurants can only sell Pepsi products.
It's the same here.
Okay.
So same here. But I will say this: look, Pepsi are not a perfect corporation.
Oh yeah, no.
But I will say this: when North Carolina brought in that, offensive bathroom bill, which discriminated against trans people, Pepsi Cola were one of the people, were one of the companies who complained about it.
Yeah, Pepsi and Coke is like Pepsi is like the Target to Coke's Walmart.
Yeah. Anyways, guess who doesn't think there's any such thing as voter suppression? Have a guess.
Ooh. It's got to be some conservative governor.
It's got to,
and likely it's not that they don't.
No, it's not a conservative. It's not a conservative governor, but it is a conservative.
Oh.
Want to have a guess?
I don't know. That could be just about any conservative here in America. That's a hard choice. Or at the very least, they say they don't believe in voter suppression, and then enact laws that involve voter suppression.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Oh.
It's Benny.
Oh, Benny boy. Benny number 2.
Yeah.
Benjamin Netanyahu being Benny number 1.
Jim Crow explicitly created a separate system of law for black Americans and treated them as inferior. There's nothing in the law like that. That's not...
Right. Okay, Ben, let's explain this to you, right? Poorer people, and unfortunately, disproportionately, a lot of black people are poor, don't tend to have voter...
a lot of trans people are poor, too.
Yeah, don't tend to have voter ID. Okay?
Yep.
Not only an overstatement, it's just an outright lie. But, says Jamel Hill, all of corporate America should resonate to the lie. The law imposes new voter identification requirements for absentee ballots. Well, clearly that's racist. I mean, you mean you have to show that you are who you say you are when you vote absent?
Right. Okay. Conservatives, and it's the same here, because they want to bring in voter ID here, right? They get in their panties in a bind about election fraud, right? When there is fuck all election fraud.
And when there is, it's oftentimes from the Republicans.
Yeah, and the Conservatives here as well. Yeah,
and also you do have to some degree, prove identification with voter absentee ballots. It's just you don't have to prove it through identification. You have to have like a social security number, and you have to like sign it and stuff. There are factors in absentee ballots that do prove your identity. It's just not not a card that costs money.
If you can explain to me how that's racist, I'm willing to hear it. Anyone?
Sure.
Bueller?
No, right here. I'm holding my hand up, Benny. Like, so it's racist because essentially it targets. So oftentimes racist policies target poorer communities or communities in whatever way they can section off communities. So take away voting areas from black communities and have them mostly in white communities to try to make sure that black people are less likely to vote. It's not a direct black people can't vote. It's something to try to make it hard as possible for black people to be able to vote without outright saying that you're restricting them. It's almost like a lot of racists learned after the civil rights movement to immediately not openly state racist policies, but instead just put them in a way that's not as obvious.
Yeah.
It limits the use of ballot drop boxes. Oh, you mean like ballot drop boxes where people could just stuff the ballot box or take ballots out of the ballot box? It hands state officials more.
No, you can't take fucking.
You can't just take
votes out of fucking ballot boxes. What the fuck are you talking about? That's an absolute fucking lie.
Yeah, no. Like all those people are like, when you go to a voting station, it's not like there are other people. And you know what? People see other people, and if someone saw someone stuffing a fucking ballot box, they would probably say something. They'd maybe call security. They'd maybe like try to figure out what the fuck is up. Now, also people reaching their hand into a ballot box and trying to grab a bunch out. No, people don't do that. That's also a terrible idea. You also don't know what everyone around you voted for, so you could be taking out Republican votes if you wanted the Republican Party to win. Like it's not. There's no simple way to commit fraud without anyone knowing, and it being really, really, really fucking obvious.
More power over local elections. Even before the legislation passed, many voters of color in Georgia faced hours-long queues at the polls. By the way, voter suppression doesn't involve long lines.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Because, people don't want to stand in fucking long lines. The legs get tired. And plus also, what about disabled people, huh? Forget about them?
Yeah, but also...
Oh, elderly people as well. Walking sticks and Zimmer veins,
But also, it's not a day off here.
Yeah.
So you have to go take time off of work if you want to stand a chance at being able to successfully vote, or you end up in a long line that sometimes has been to a place that isn't going to open or whatnot. I know there's like there was some controversy with there's been voting controversies with conservative stuff that make it even more difficult and fraudulent.
Any more than long lines at Disneyland are ride suppression. You know what voter suppression is? Voter suppression is where you don't get to vote. Making those waits even more...
No, voter suppression isn't actually when you... not necessarily. Suppression. Suppression means you suppress it. Doesn't mean you outlaw it.
Yeah, you remove the chance for someone to be able to vote. For instance, if you have a long enough line and you can't get to it fast enough, because let's say you need to work to put food on the table, and you have children you don't want to starve, and you're sitting in line, and oh no, you didn't get to the voter place before it closed down. Oh well, I guess you didn't get to vote.
More arduous, the new law bans giving food and water to people in line to vote. That's not even true. It bans giving any gift to people in line when they are within 150 feet of the polling place. You can bring water with you. There are people outside.
Yeah,
that includes food and drink. That does include giving food and drink. Yeah, gifts is a vague enough statement that you can make it apply to just about anything.
By the way, I've just noticed something. Ben's yarmulke has got larger, which means his brain has shrunk even more. from all the shit which is coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Anyways, yes.
It's important. He needs to also implement the giant sign on top of it to say, "Hey, I'm the Jew that supports every conservative idea, even if it's anti-Semitic. Please remember, I'm your local, token Jew."
Yeah, I'm your local capo. Right.
Yeah.
Now, finally, okay. So, as some people know, my friend Ara Demeslo was arrested a few weeks ago.
Briefly.
Yeah, I mean, she was had a SWAT raid her fucking house, along with 5 other people in Keene, New Hampshire, for basically selling Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, ARIA there's restrictions on what ARIA can say.
Yeah.
And one of the things said here is pretty outrageous. I'm just trying to find. Yeah, here we are. Government agents identified people across the country who stated they were manipulated by scammers into sending money to the defendant, the Shire Free Church, or one of the alleged co-conspirators, which includes ARIA and her church, often in the form of church donations. Johnson wrote, as recently of March the 16th, 2021, the Postal Inspector Service intercepted a package addressed to the Shire Free Church which contained $4,000 from an 80-year-old victim of an apparent romance scam. This operation clearly poses a danger to the community by enabling fraud and economic harm. Now, that's basically the media are pretty much out to get Ian Freeman. Okay, that's railroad.
Yeah,
I think the term is,
everyone else is potential collateral damage.
Right. Now, I'm gonna say something. ARIA can't respond to these allegations publicly.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm hopefully going to be interviewing her in the early hours of tomorrow morning. We have set a time. It's whether I can get up in time to do it. And, I just think it's ridiculous. She can't say anything in response to this. However, I will say this. There is a Free Talk Live episode. It's the 6th of December last year. I've listened to some of it, where Ian actually talked to someone who got scammed by some who was a victim of a scam. Right, and Ian was actually telling them, how to avoid doing it, getting scammed, right?
Yeah.
So does that sound like a guy who wants to scam people? No. So that's what I will say. Look, I am not. These guys are hardcore libertarians. I'm a socialist.
Well, yeah, but these are libertarians who put the anarchistic elements first.
Yeah, the thing is, trying to paint Ian Freeman as the Mr. Big is hilarious, because having known of Ian, he's a hippie, right? He's not Mr. Big. I can tell you that now. Okay.
Yeah.
And as for ARIA, even if Ian's guilty of this, I don't think ARIA is, because possibly Ian has kept stuff from her. You never know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't get into all that with ARIA. I can certainly talk to her about her arrest and how best people can help her. But this is ridiculous that she can't respond to the press basically making allegations.
Yeah, it's because of legal reasons, and to make sure she can have because that will be what she says will be have a risk of being used against her in a court setting. So it's best to keep quiet about even accurate allegations.
I mean, she won't even talk in private about this, okay? And I have spoken to her privately because obviously I was worried about her, and I phoned her, you know, to see how she was, you know.
Yeah.
The thing is, some people have said, how can I defend Aria? So I have to defend my defense of Aria, and my defense of, you know, I would remind trans people, right? Even if you think she's guilty, even if you think Bitcoin's the largest scam going on at the moment on the face of the planet, right? You know, and you know, do you really want Aria to go to a federal male penitentiary?
Yeah.
You know, I don't think so.
I don't want that.
Right? Nobody. No trans person should fucking want that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so that's, you know, you should be thinking about that. There is a danger of that happening to her, right? And you know, that is what, you know, even if you think people have done wrong, they should be treated humanely, okay? And you know, they should be, you know, there should be respect for human bloody rights, okay? So
yeah,
that's what what I will say on that issue. As I say, you'll have to wait until, you know, hopefully I will be up in time to do this interview.
I want to say one more thing about Aria. Aria is someone who is inspirational to me. So it is nice that she is actually fighting for actual government change. And even if she isn't, even when she doesn't succeed, or when she does succeed, I don't know, I find it inspiring, and if she can inspire me, she could potentially inspire other people, and to try to fight for actual good.
Yeah. Now, so as I said, hopefully I'll be interviewing in a few hours' time. Funny enough, that brings to an end another edition of Botha Rants. Ozma, do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Sure. OzmaInTheDark.com, which has links to various areas where I'm at. The Fluid Voice is the channel that I do most of the technical stuff, and I'm almost always there. And that's on Wednesdays and Sundays. Wednesdays we do a more condensed version of LGBTQ news, and sometimes picks up stories before Sophia, and sometimes we pick them up after. And because we're in America, so it's easier to find American story, but we do talk about overseas a little bit. But and then on Sundays, we do the Fluid Voice, and we have guests, and we talk about subjects for specific subjects for a bit, and it's entertaining and worth checking out.
Right. Now, parish notice here, there won't be a show tomorrow because I'm, as well as interviewing Aria in a few hours' time, I'm also going to be interviewing someone else I've really wanted to interview for a very long time. The one trans woman most responsible for helping me out of the closet many years ago.
That's endearing.
Yeah. Who's also a musician, and she's very talented.
Yeah.
So, anyways, if you like this video, give it a like. Please share this video with everybody on social media. I'm still not seeing enough of that. If you've got any feedback, leave a comment below. Still not seeing many comments. I mean, getting comments.
I mean, the greater your channel, the greater likelihood you'll received comments. Like most of the comments on the videos on the Fluid Voice are scammers linking to sex sites. So.
Yeah. And the most important thing you can do for me is subscribe. Please subscribe. You don't know how important that can be for me. And I like
especially if you get Sophia up to 1K subscribers. I realize you can't do that on your own, but if you get Sophia up to 1K subscribers, she can have a community panel, and then everyone who loves this show can go in and chat, and maybe news stories might pop up there. I don't know what Sophia might want to do on an aspect that she can't access yet, but it'll be very helpful.
I'll be giving away free gifts like old pairs of my panties.
Oh God.
Anyways, until the next time, hopefully it'll be the next live stream will be Wednesday. All being well. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe and peace out.
Bye.